just your reminder to subscribe. Father's Day is coming up, nice little gift for Dad. Enjoy the episode, guys.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Father Knows Something. We have Justin, who's taking a sip. We have Morgan, who is there, and we have had, at least some of us have had a day from hell today. So it will be nice just to sit here and hang out and talk to you guys.
Yeah.
It's maybe one of the last in here.
So we're gonna make this back to my den.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Because you guys are gone. You got the new studio. We don't need this. I can convert this back to being living space.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm
see
getting
how
very
the cookie
excited
crumbles.
about this. I can just taste it.
You're not going to miss the old setup?
It's comfortable. This has always been a comfortable place to do it. I've always liked the furniture setup. It's great, but it's time. Time to return my place back to my home. It's making me crazy.
Okay, well, today's theme is all about letting go.
I can do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
good theme for today.
Let's get into it. Number one. Should I write an apology letter to my stepdad for how I treated him when I was younger? I'm so sorry if this is choppy. I've been crying the entire time I've been writing this. My mom and stepdad married my senior year of high school and started dating when I was a freshman. At the time, I was dealing with a somewhat absent sperm donor, aka my bio-paternal figure, who would make false promises and let me down continuously. I, at the time of being 13 to 17, didn't really know how to handle the rejection from him and tried distancing myself from my stepdad, and we never really bonded like some step-parents and their kids do because of this. I don't remember much, but to be honest, I feel truly terrible how I treated my stepdad. I just turned 30, and I have been through therapy and have worked through my resentment towards father figures because of my past. I want to thank and honor my stepdad by giving him an apology note. I'm just worried he won't accept it or not see it as a big step towards creating a better father-daughter bond like I hope we could have. I have a stepsister who is in our lives from his previous marriage who has an amazing bond with him, and I'm hoping that maybe one day our relationship could be a fraction of theirs. They act like he's her actual dad. I've gotten to the point where saying stepdad doesn't feel right. He has always been what a real dad should be. Advice, life lessons, and bad dad jokes. And I just didn't realize it past my anger and didn't recognize the harm I was creating in my own path. My only concern is my stepdad is from a military background and sometimes views me expressing how I feel as dramatic and over-emotional. And I'm afraid he'll think this is just a grand gesture and not something that I truly mean. He is neurotypical, and I am on the spectrum. At this point, I'm not afraid of possible rejection. I know it might happen, or that he might just shrug it off, but I want to thank him for everything he has done before I move across the world, US to Australia. This would also be a precursor to a future talk of him walking me down the aisle with my mom when I get married. I just hope he can accept me as his daughter, as I've accepted him as my dad. Forget the step. I was hoping you could help since you've been somewhat in his shoes, and if you have any advice, I would love to hear it.
I have advice. As I'm listening to the story and I was processing, the first thing that I would say, Father's Day is coming up, and you should do something before Father's Day. And I think if you actually just call him right and say, I really have things I want to say that are positive, and I really want to do it with you in person, you've earned that. And can we sit down and have lunch together, just you and I? Or can we go to dinner? I mean, you want to just go somewhere, and you don't want to go to a restaurant that's noisy because you want him to hear everything that you have to say. So you want to go somewhere where it may not be busy, but he can really listen to you. And I would start with that. And it's not going to happen overnight because he is definitely going to have if he has any kind of cynicism, then I would definitely just say, I know that it may be something that you may not really believe, but I know that in time, I hope that you will really feel my love for you. And I can't apologize enough for all the confusion in my head and how I was dealing with everything. But I was young. And for all the data that goes on in our young minds, we do process things incorrectly sometimes. And I did process incorrectly. And as much as you tried and me being not accepting, I was so wrong. And I think if you start with that, there is nothing he can do other than take it in and be honored that you've taken this step to own up, to open the door for a positive, because there's no backslap in this thing. It's not, you're really wonderful, but you did this. This is all about positive energy and just reinforcing the mistake that you're owning up that you made and that you have to remedy it right now. And it's going to take time again. And if he accepts you for what you're saying right now, I think that's fantastic. But let me know that this is not a temporary thing. My love for you at this point forward is going forward. And I'm all in. And I hope that in time, if you can't get in because you're reluctant, I understand, but it's something that you're going to see from me going forward and know where it's coming from. And start with that. And that way, that when it does come time for Father's Day, you can say something to him. You can bring him a gift. You can just go up and give him a hug. We don't need gifts. We need hugs. We need, I love you unconditionally. We need those things because there's nothing you can do other than just give him all of you for what you have to offer without any expectation back. And he'll be there. He'll patch you. It happened. I had a difficult time with Matthew for years. And it was Matthew's wedding that he blew my boots off. And he's been consistent and no expectation, just love, just there. He'll answer the phone within a heartbeat. Whatever it is, just when I was coming down the road the other day and his last name is LaFlamme and I saw a restaurant called LaFlame. And I just sent him a picture of it just because it warmed my heart. And I was thinking about it when I saw it. So he's my son. I mean, it wasn't that way in the beginning. It was tough. It was really hard. So just be honest with him and let him know where you're coming from. And I think you'll succeed. You guys got any?
What are your thoughts down there, Justin?
Words are very powerful, but it's action that really means something. I mean, words can mean something too, but the words won't mean anything unless the actions follow it up. And so I think with you saying consistency, it's if you really do mean this and feel this, it's not just going to be one outlet of all these words saying all these things and then back to, normal. It's more you say all of this and then you're consistent in the way you follow it up in action. And I think that's really what will show someone like him the fact that I mean this and this is how I'd love for it to be. Because like you say, it's not going to happen overnight. You can't just fix a bunch of things or get really close with someone by saying a bunch of words or writing out a letter. It's do that first step and then show it through action.
Yeah, I completely agree. It just takes time. And I think Father's Day is actually the perfect day to do this. I don't even think you need to do it before and make yourself anxious. Like Father's Day, you can say, I would love to get lunch with you, and then give him your little letter after lunch or before lunch and he can read it. But I think Father's Day is a great way to be like, I want to celebrate Father's Day with you. I've looked at you as a dad and I haven't always acted the best, but I think in that same breath, you got to let that go. You were a teenager dealing with a lot. 13 to 17, we all do dumb shit when we're young that we're not proud of, and you accidentally hurt people, but you can't hold on to it and let it keep festering. I'm sure he realizes that she was a teenager. They're hard to deal with. It's okay to give a heartfelt apology and now demonstrate you've changed and you appreciate him and all of those things going forward, but let it go. You don't have to hold on to those feelings and that guilt of being a angsty teenager.
Well, it's never too late to repair a relationship if both parties are interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
If both of you, I'm sure somewhere inside him, he wants to have that with you, even though it may take some time. But if both parties want it, I just think it's never too late.
Yeah, and honestly, like the fact that he's not mean after you've treated him poorly, for those years, like he does still care. He is a good guy. So
yeah.
I think this is going to go a lot easier than you were probably expecting.
I still really do believe that she should have an off-site, off-day moment with him. And that way, when it comes to Father's Day, you can even do the Father's Day with your sister and the family and do that kind of together. And you got this out of the way. And now you're starting Father's Day, it's already behind you and you're moving forward in a healthy relationship at that point in time. That's really why I separated the two.
Yeah.
There was reasoning behind it.
Yeah. And, pick whatever is right for you. If you feel like Father's Day is an easy window and you don't want as much pressure to have this maybe really tense emotional conversation before, like it's whatever feels right to you. Both
Okay.
could go really well.
Okay.
Okay. Moving along.
We're going to go to number 2.
Number 2. My 21 female parents have always favored my brother, 23. Everything he does makes him the best son ever and the best brother ever. But no matter what I do, it always comes down to the fact that I am a horrible sister. I make sure he has a birthday gift, Christmas gift, and is even included in my gifts for big celebrations. That is never reciprocated. I'm not trying to hold that against him. But I feel like I'm being punished for not having a best friends forever brother-sister relationship. This hurts my feelings. I love my brother, but I always come out the bad sibling. Every time we got in trouble growing up, after an hour, his punishment was lifted. He pushed me into a wall a couple of times and made fun of my weight. He's never happy at my big occasions, but if I bring this up to my parents, it's because I was antagonizing him. But if he ever embarrassed me at school or in front of my friends, I just provoked him and I deserved it. I remember when we were in late middle school, early high school, he got annoyed with me and told me to, quote, shut up and suck my dick. And my mom thought that was so funny. It grossed me out and hurt my feelings. Probably too much backstory for you all. I'm sorry. Today, he was visiting at home from college. Before he left to drive back, he was saying goodbye to my family, hugged mom, hugged dad, and he told me goodbye, and I said goodbye. After he left, my dad laid into me about how I refused to hug him goodbye and how he's the greatest kid. He told me I was such a bad sister. I couldn't even give him a polite hug goodbye. I apparently was intentionally ignoring him, and it was weird that I gave such a cold goodbye when he was so nice. For context, my parents are very big on giving proper goodbyes. I didn't even think about it. He said goodbye, so I said goodbye. I've been crying in my room for hours, so sorry if this doesn't make much sense. I'm sick of hearing about how bad of a sister I am. I'm a hugger. I love a hug anytime, so I would have hugged him if he had hugged me. But that's not how he was playing. I thought I gave him the same goodbye that he gave me. But was I wrong? Should I apologize?
It's unfortunate. Sometimes when a younger sister shows up, it happened in our home. Brother was a little upset. It took a while for them to get over the fact that the new star of the show, in their eyes, is the new baby. Matthew had all the attention in the world as an only child. He was 8 years old and Morgan showed up. And Matthew definitely had a change of life. And there was a lot of resentment that goes on. And it happens in a lot of dynamics with a lot of families like this. I really do feel that you and your brother should, if you have any desire to fix this, because it doesn't sound like he does, you do. And if he wanted to give you a hug, he would have approached you to give you a hug. I believe that you were getting the vibe of he had no interest. So I think that if you would want to suggest to him that I'd like to see if we can work on a relationship. Would you go to counseling with me to see if he's interested? But it might take that to get through some of these subconscious things that are going on in his head for these behaviors.
It doesn't even sound like it's just him. It's these parents.
Mm-hmm.
This is a classic, you're the scapegoat and he's the golden child. And this behavior from everyone is absolutely despicable.
Mm-hmm.
This is not on you. You shouldn't apologize. These people are fucking nuts.
Yeah, I definitely don't feel it's all on her. I definitely believe that there's something that happened with the parents and this boy. So that's why I really do think that counseling might be something that might help, because otherwise she just has to accept that she's not the issue. And no matter what she does, it may not fix the problem, because she didn't really start the problem. She came in as an innocent child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard because it's gone on for so long.
Right? How old is she now?
21.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like, how do you even start to attack this with your parents, because they're so set in their ways?
So that's why I really do believe there's some counseling that is needed, that they can help find what's really going on in this dynamic. It's beyond her. It's really the whole family, the whole unit. It's dysfunctional.
Yeah, I think, you're kind of at a point now. Your brother's 23, you're 21. If this were me, I would probably remove my parents out of the equation in terms of the relationship with my brother. Like, my brother absolutely hated me up until I went to college. And then all of a sudden, oh, she's an adult. We can have a relationship. Okay.
Yeah.
And so then me and Matt, really, when I was 19, 20, started actually talking and having a relationship. Mm-hmm. Before that, he hated me and he was mean. I mean, it was this behavior. So I think you could, reach out to your brother and say, hey, can we have a talk? I feel like you're kind of the golden child, and the treatment that we get from mom and dad just feels different. What do you think about this? Like, do you want a relationship with me, or are you not interested? Like, have a conversation with him. But yeah, it doesn't seem like the parents are.
It's dysfunctional.
It's just
on every
brutal.
level.
I mean, this might just be them. And I'm not sure if you've ever called it out, and maybe that's a tactic, but I think therapy would be amazing for you if you can get in and can afford it. I know there's a lot of affordable options out there these days with like Talkspace and things like that, but there's been a lot of stories I've read on Reddit where the kid that is the scapegoat will write in, and they do get to terms where they're like, my parents just, they kind of suck. And I hope that, this is just, sometimes it's like this, but it's not like this all the time. But you're not a bad sister. You're not a bad daughter. You just have people that are a little nutty. How would you handle this if this were you?
You need to call it out for the first time if you haven't, or you
how
can bring
would
it all up.
How would you call it out? What would be your approach?
It depends if it happens in front of you again, or if we even get that opportunity. Because it seems like that last big one was an opportunity, or you need to just bring it all out into the open and say, here's all the, and like maybe detail it on your own first so you know what you're going in with. And just say, now that we're all adults, I would love to not feel this way anymore, and kind of rewrite how this looks going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good approach. You don't have to wait for the next attack. You can actually say, as a family, can we really talk? Because this is something that I feel, and I really don't want to have a relationship where we're negative. I'd like to have one that we can be a family and can really respect one another. And if we can't, then we have to make some choices. But, I would have loved to have hugged my brother. I'd love to be able to give love back and forth. But there's been such a history and tradition of assassination, of character assassination. It's hard to have that kind of feeling when I'm always the butt of the joke, or the reason why something didn't go wrong. Didn't go right. So can we try to exercise love and openness to each other on a going forward, and not worry about the past as much, but worry about going forward and what can we do to make it better?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that way, at least, you've really taken a mature look, a way of approaching this, which is far different than the maturity they're handling. All they're doing is making fun of you, which is immature. You're being the adult in the room. And see if they show up at the table. And if they don't, then you at this point realize that there is no interest on their part to really try to remedy what's going on, and you have to just make your own friends, and and if you want to hang out in abuse, that's up to you. But I wouldn't hang out in abuse. I would separate myself and say, something, I don't need this type of treatment.
No, we've talked a lot about how chosen family and your friends that become your family, and things like that can sometimes be more valuable, more important, more fulfilling. So, yeah, I think a heart to heart with everyone, it's probably overdue. You're 21, you are justified in having these conversations, and therapy would be really, really, really good, because a therapist is going to see right through your parents' bullshit. They're going to see the scapegoat, golden child dynamic, and can really help.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they'll bounce on, and then you all go to therapy to really find out where this rail got, this train got derailed, and see if we can get it back on the right tracks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep us posted. One of this week's partners is Robinhood. Do you think your money is working as hard for you and your family's future as it could be? I know mine isn't. I don't know what to do with my money. I don't know where to invest it. And if that sounds familiar, look no further. Robinhood is here. Robinhood has pioneered commission-free stock trading over a decade ago, and they continue to offer innovative products to help you maximize your money's potential. We all work hard for our money, and financial literacy is not something that's talked about ever. And that is so unfortunate, because how do you invest? How do you make these moves to secure a financial future for your family? Like investing in a big thing, like maybe buying your first home, or even those other big ticket items like a trip somewhere exotic. Robinhood could help you take control of your finances and make investments towards your goals, whatever they may be. Robinhood could help your family build a better financial future. With a gold membership, you could earn 5% APY on uninvested cash, plus so many more features. Download the Robinhood app or visit Robinhood.com now to start building a better financial future. That's Robinhood.com, or download the app to learn more. Now, a disclosure. Investing involves risks. Returns are not guaranteed. Other fees may apply. Robinhood Gold is offered through Robinhood Financial LLC and is a subscription offering premium services for a fee terms. Apply to the APY and rate is subject to change. More info in the description of the podcast.
Hi, Jerry, Morgan, Justin, and potentially Holly.
Hello. No, Holly.
Holly's back at her mom's.
I apologize for the length, but the details feel important. I'm writing because I've been feeling so frustrated, sad, guilty, and mad about the way some medical struggles I've been dealing with have gone. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's as a kid and had my thyroid removed at 13. Because of this, I have always seen doctors twice a year and had related blood levels checked. Around 2015 to 2016, at 21, I started really not feeling well. Brain fog, sleeping 14 hours, loss of energy, hair falling out. I saw my doctor and they found my thyroid levels were off. They fixed them, but symptoms kept coming back, and I kept going to see a doctor when it did. I moved around a lot, so I didn't always see the same doctor every time. They'd find my thyroid levels either high or low and tell me that was the problem. I obviously realized a pattern, and after a couple times was insisting something else had to be going on. I had seen around 10 plus doctors in the span of 8 years, looking for answers every time, and always got blown off and told it was stress or that I was fine. Even though I knew and insisted I wasn't stressed or fine, Well, November 2023, I was finally diagnosed with type 1 diabetes as an adult. It's an autoimmune disease, usually seen in children, that comes on quickly, but I was told when it happens in adulthood, the body sometimes slowly kills the pancreas. So I was slowly dying and no one would believe me. For years, I felt terrible. In the last 1 to 2 years, I could barely cook a meal without being completely wiped out for the entire day and nauseous, unable to get out of bed after. All the years of being told I was fine made me normalize it, as it was also a slow decline to get to that place. This is where the guilt comes in. I feel responsible I didn't push back harder when I was told I was fine or demand every test. A glucose test would have done it, and that's a very basic test for them. I'm mad at the doctors for not believing me and gaslighting me. I'm frustrated and sad I lost 8 years feeling awful. I'm also really struggling with some hatred towards doctors at the moment, but I understand that's not entirely fair either. I would just love some advice on moving past this and how to let go of all these negative feelings.
As you were discussing, some of the changes that you've experienced with your chemicals being off, chemistry and blood chemistry is such an ordeal for people that really don't know what's going on in their body, because you just feel, it happens slowly where you start feeling tired, and then you just wonder if you're going through a bad day or a bad week. And it's like my short-term memory is, has issues. But is that just because of getting older? Or could it be that I'm not oxygenating enough in my brain? Do I have other issues going on? And sometimes we just don't know. And it's amazing with the technology that we have today. It would be wonderful. And I do know you can wear certain things that will feed your iPhone or your cell phone that will tell you that your blood chemistry is off, or it will send stuff to your doctor. And it would be really great if that could be implemented, especially where you live on such a fine teeter-totter, a balancing scale.
There's actually a company, it's called Signos. I work with them, and there's little devices you can get to monitor your blood glucose at all times. But
She's
I feel
got
like
all kind of things going on, though.
Oh, I mean, Hashimoto's and now type 1 diabetes, it's a lot. But I think the health stuff is now sorted. It's how do you move on with all of these feelings of anger and guilt? One, you advocated for yourself in every way you possibly could. You had your thyroid out at 13. Mm-hmm. Them not diagnosing you until now is not on you. We, as patients, should not have to advocate for ourselves so hard. The healthcare system is fakaked. It's brutal.
It is, but these are things that aren't going to be fixed overnight, and she has to go on and live every day.
For sure. So how does she move forward and deal with letting go of those feelings?
Well, there's nothing it's unfortunate that carrying the feelings on and being mad at the medical community is a waste of energy at this point in time, because all you really can do is step up your own ability of being I'm looking for the word, I was talking about short-term memory, but looking, being your own advocate to consistently go to the doctor no matter what's going on with you, or to see if there's some devices that you can wear that can keep you chemically balanced. So when you start seeing, certain levels dropping, that you can react immediately, because again, you don't have a thyroid. Your mom doesn't have a thyroid. Mm-hmm. You have thyroid issues. I thought that one point in time you thought you had Hashimoto's.
Yeah, I'm hypo.
With technology today, I just find that we have to be our own advocate to be able to find these devices that will help ourselves, and that we can live the most normal life as possible, because unless you've got all the money in the world, they don't want to see you.
I mean, I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. I think there's a lot of healthcare providers out there that love going to work, and I mean, they live for helping people. Amy, my sister-in-law, is one of them. She's a PA. She's a diabetes specialist, and she loves her job. Absolutely loves it. and goes above and beyond trying to find answers for her patients. And there are doctors out there that are like that. I think if this were me, I think one, therapy is always amazing. But I think just realizing like this is not your fault and you did everything you could. I think going forward, something that might help you feel better is maybe some more autonomy over your body and like what's going on like at all times. I think getting a device like Signos where you're constantly monitoring your blood sugar and it's sending real-time notifications to your phone is amazing. A lot of those devices are now covered by insurance. So there's things like that could help you just feel like you have more control and more of an understanding about what's going on with your body. Because I think for me with my health issues, that's been the most frustrating. It's like I know something's wrong, but no one's listening to me. They can't find answers. You're kind of out of range, but not bad enough to correct yet. It's frustrating. It's so discouraging because you feel like shit and yet you're trying, but everything's kind of failing you. So I think there's little things you can do to start getting more control that will then help you just overall feel better.
Yeah, but and I agree with that. And I really hope there are some other devices that she can, because she does have such a complex issue. She's got the diabetes, she's got her thyroid issues. So whatever else, at least if they can target to say, what can she put on that can monitor her, those blood.
I don't know if there's any at-home devices for testing because for the thyroid, for Hashimoto's, it's a little more complex. You're looking for a lot of different chemicals that relate to the thyroid. And because it's Hashi's, you actually look for the thyroid antibodies. I don't know if there's anything specific for that, but for the blood sugar, there are many at-home wearable devices.
And can she go in? Can she go in more often to go have her blood panels done?
It might not be necessary if she's monitoring her glucose levels. And I don't know if insurance covers that many visits.
That was where I was going before. It
can be tough. You're usually. My thyroid doctor, it was like we started on this regimen. I went back for new labs 60 days later. Mm-hmm. And then after that, you start spacing it out 3 months. And then after that, it's 6 months. So once your levels are back in range, it's pretty easy to manage.
Well,
Not easy. Easy is the wrong word. It becomes more manageable.
I can just say
it's never easy.
Being angry and carrying that with you daily is not going to be healthy for you. It's just counterproductive. So you have to find the best way that you can just come to terms with what happened. And that's not really nice to say, but you have to go, how am I going to be proactive with my health going forward? And what can I do because the only one that's really going to pay attention to you is you.
Justin, you've been dealing with some health stuff lately. Like, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, she is in therapy. I'm in therapy and it does help, but
Good.
The emotions are still there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, they will.
Ideal outcome, being able to let go of my anger and not dwell on what I lost. And I think, yeah, you could look at it with regret and as a loss, but the more time you do that, the more time, quote unquote, you'll technically waste.
That you're putting into that, yeah.
Just being grateful that it led you to the place where you did finally find out. No matter what it took, we did find out. And now that we found out, personally, I would become an expert on every in and out of it, like you guys are talking about, any possible home remedy, any treatment, just become an expert to better your life going forward. And aside from that, if we take the health stuff out of it, assuming you'll start feeling better, mm-hmm. I would just be so grateful that we did come to a conclusion. I am feeling better and I can enjoy every single day that much more because I'm not dealing with what I was dealing with before. And if you kind of think of it in that sense, like, wow, I feel great today. I cooked a meal. Now I have energy to go for a walk, go work out. I have energy to go meet with friends at this place, and just being grateful to be out of that. And also just simply, sometimes I need this too. is just recenter yourself and think, yeah, we're on some random ball in the middle of nowhere and we don't know what the meaning of anything is, but I can tell you that there's meaning in just every day you get to experience.
That's right.
Mhm.
And I think being grateful for that will help you move on from this in a way where it's like, yeah, it happened. We all get dealt certain hands. I didn't die. I'm still here and I'm feeling better. So it's all good and going forward.
Yeah, the glass is half full. Like, you finally have your answer. Yes, it was a struggle and a bitch and a half to get it, but so many people go through their whole entire life with healthcare struggles they never get answers to. You have your answers, and now you have years and years and years ahead of you to look forward to and getting on that healthy track. It'll happen.
I was going to go right where you were going, Justin. Every bad experience teaches us something. And look, I had a car accident when I was 3, and I found this out years later under hypnosis. They were standing over my bed when I was unconscious at 3, and they said, "Is he going to be stupid?" And that accident changed my life because I bought that subconscious words that they said. So I did horrible in school, and I didn't, excel. And with all that, do I wish I never had that accident? You can't say that, because at the end of the day, I developed other tools in my life to go do other things that I do. Your body and your brain take on where you're weak here, and they make you stronger there. So we've with all the horrible things that we go through, we do develop new skills that help make us better and teach us things. So I think you also have to look at some of those items that, as tragic and as horrible as it was that you suffered this, what positive things did you gain from it? And let's work on the positive things to go forward.
Absolutely.
Okay. We're
moving along. Another one of this week's partners is ZocDoc. Life is full of compromises, but one thing you should not compromise on is your health. And you shouldn't have to fight so hard for your health either. There are so many amazing doctors out there, and one easy way to find them is ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare highly rated in-network doctors near you and instantly book appointments with them online. ZocDoc has been a godsend for finding doctors that actually listen to you, are willing to work with you to find solutions for your health, and don't make you leave feeling worse than you did when you came in. It's because of ZocDoc's real reviews from patients just like us that you can find an amazing doctor without the hassle of going to them and finding out the hard way that they're not actually that good. And these reviews are legit. They give you so many good details, so you get the vibe before you even get there. I found my gynecologist through ZocDoc, a general provider, a dentist through ZocDoc. They have just about every specialty under the sun, and it is quick. When I've been panicking and needing to get into my gyno the next day, I was able to get on ZocDoc and book in less than 24 hours. Pregnancy scares, you know? So if you're ready to try it for yourself, go to ZocDoc.com/FKS and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/FKS. ZocDoc.com/FKS.
I think we're moving on to number 4.
Number 4.
Okay, number 4.
I'm always the other girl. So every relationship I've ever had, I've either been cheated on or I've been the other girl. Now 4 times. I'm a 25-year-old female, and I'm so disgusted with myself and heartbroken because this always seems to happen to me. I feel so low, and I feel like I'm not worth anything because I can't seem to ever find a guy that isn't a cheater. There were red flags with this guy, the most recent one, that I noticed pretty early on, but I made excuses after excuses for him, and looking back, I just feel so stupid. We've had our relationship since about October of 2023. And I found out yesterday that he's been in a relationship with someone else since August of 2023. A part of me wants to tell her, but I'm so exhausted and don't want to engage with her. I'm ashamed. Him and I did things together that I never would have done had I known he had a girlfriend. I feel so ugly and beyond low. I feel like I'm never going to be enough because this just keeps happening to me. Am I always going to be the second choice?
If you feel that something is inconsistent, then you have to walk away from it immediately. You can't I mean, you can certainly, before you walk away, you can call it out. I've always, look, I was a person that got cheated on. And I am sure that in all my life that I dated more than one person at a time. But typically what I've always tried to do ever since being cheated on, because what happens is your radar gets knocked out of whack. And right now it's like, is he with someone? Is he not with someone? Are we together? Are we not together? So you need to get your radar on track. And if you feel that if the relationship is not what you want, then you need to walk. And you could even go to them in the beginning saying, look, I want to have a monogamous relationship. And if you don't, then let's not go out. Or you can say, I'm not going to be in a monogamous relationship. Right now, I may be only seeing you, but if I meet somebody tomorrow and I want to go out with them, I don't want to have to tell you I'm going out. So if I say I'm busy, I'm busy. I can't go out. So it's all what you define. And if you are going to date and you want to date, that you are dating. So everyone knows what's going on. There's no betrayal, because that's the worst part of the whole thing. If he says, I'm going to go out with Shirley and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do in our relationship, at least he's giving you the right to make your choice. Do you want to still stay in this relationship? There's no lying. And you'll see what happens between you and him, or him and Shirley. That's up to you guys to figure out, but there's no betrayal.
But she couldn't control that. He was doing it without her knowing.
Yeah, she's writing in because she's like really sad and feeling low because every single person she dates either cheats on her or she's the other woman.
I got that.
So they're not honest up front.
My answer is be honest up front. You got to make sure that.
How do you know though if someone?
I think you've just.
Sometimes people are good fucking liars.
You just say, look, if you're going to date other people, that's okay. I just want to know, I'm going to invest into our relationship as you invest in this relationship. And if I don't feel that I'm the only person, don't be surprised if I'm dating. And if you don't want me to date, then I really don't want to find out that there's someone else in your life, because that's not what I really want to buy into. But at least you give that person the ability of making the choice what in the rules, what they want or don't want. Because right now you're pretty clear. You don't want to be in a relationship that people are dating. There's non-monogamy. So before I would be intimate, I would say, look, if you want to be intimate with me, then I'm letting you know now, I want intimacy. I want monogamy between us. And if you can't be monogamous, let's not have this relationship. Let's not go down that road. And you're going to have to pay attention to the signs of what's consistent, what's inconsistent. Look, all my friends told me the time when somebody wasn't being honest with me. They saw it. And I chose to be blind to it because I wanted to be blind to it. But it became very apparent and it hurt. And it got my radar really knocked off. So if anything, I always try to be as honest as I can because I don't want to knock anyone's radar off, because that takes forever to get back.
Mm-hmm.
So pay attention to your radar, get it sharp. And if you sense something that's wrong, doesn't matter what they say. If you're sensing it, you need to walk and just trust your instincts and go forward until your instincts don't feel that.
What are your thoughts? You were with someone for 6 years and towards the end, there was a lot of cheating. Like, were there flags you ignored? Like, how do you know? Because some people are so good at deceiving.
Well, I'm more in the boat of like, yeah, you get cheated on, it sucks, but it's recovering from that and trying to find better people going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And really, the name of the game is you just got to keep going until you find that person. Like, the thing is, yeah, we could sit and just say, well, screw it. I don't want to be vulnerable. I'm going to be single forever. And there's a lot of safety in that, but there's also a lot of loneliness in that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of downsides to that, as opposed to how life can be if you find the right person. to get to that point where you find the right person, you got to go through some crazy shit and you get hurt. And each time you keep having breakups and getting hurt, it's probably that much harder to get back in the game and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, you won't find someone without getting through all the bullshit. It's just like in music, how if there's sometimes you gotta write all the horrible bad ideas you have in your head, get all the bad song ideas out, write all the bad songs, because after that, the good one comes. And you gotta get through all the bullshit to find it. But I don't know. I went through one really terrible breakup and I got lucky finding my person not long after. I didn't have to go through rounds of breakups.
I did.
Right. So that's why I really think you will be really well suited to answer this.
Can I ask you guys a question before you?
Yeah.
At this point in time in your life, when you went through cheaters and you went through things that weren't consistent, did you feel somewhere down there was stuff that was inconsistent? Did you read inconsistency and say,
yeah,
I have a decision to make here. Is it inconsistent, or do I just want to ignore it, or do I want to believe it?
I think there's, for me, I had an ex who would disappear every weekend. And, I was, in Canada. My phone service isn't that good, blah, 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 blah. He was in Canada, not the North Pole. So you just overlook it because you want the relationship to work and you're happy and all of this. I feel like for me, and looking at, everything you describe here, you've been the other woman now 4 times. And while if you're going into it completely not knowing about their girlfriends or whatever, and you're being deceived, that is not your fault. However, there's definitely now a pattern in the people you're seeking out and dating. And so for me, I feel like that was also my issue. I had a pattern of finding these people that they were cheaters and just weren't, the nicest guys. And so Justin is the first person I've really dated outside of my usual comfort zone, my type, whatever I would usually go for.
Not your type?
You're my type. But you were just different. You're the first non-hockey player I've ever dated.
I wasn't gonna say it, but
every other guy before Justin.
And you say, they're the best
played
people on
hockey.
earth.
There's some good guys, but I just think you really need to look within and figure out what attracts you to those type of people and why you're willing to overlook those red flags and stop overlooking them. Stop. I think there's also some personal growth to be had here. I really, really think you should start pursuing therapy. I mean, to say you're disgusted with yourself, you feel like you're not worth anything, that also shows some lack of, confidence. This is not on you. You are worthy of love. You are enough. You are worth it. But if you don't think so, you're not going to get those high quality people. If you think you're low, you're not going to get someone who's confident and happy with themselves and sure of themselves. Like attracts like. So you need to really work on yourself. Take a break from dating. Don't date right away. Take some time and find yourself, build your confidence, and get back in tune with what you're willing to put up with and stop ignoring red flags because they're fucking red and they're right in front of you. And let me tell you, it doesn't pay to ignore them. We've been there now. It doesn't pay.
I have 1,000 different thoughts, but the answer really is that you just, sometimes it pays to go with somebody that you just never thought you'd be attracted to.
I thought Justin was cute. I was attracted to him. Otherwise, I never would have swiped right. But he just wasn't my type. I'd never been with someone more creative versus the sports stuff. But he's my type.
I feel like type is so commonly looks, not what someone does. I get it all goes hand in hand or whatever, but type is usually, at least from a guy's perspective, it's oh, I like blondes. Oh, I like brunettes. Oh, I like this. It's so much, it's more
I feel like for a lot
basic. It's not, well, sometimes I guess, I like someone that's driven. I like this, but not necessarily I am looking for a painter. And only a painter. It doesn't matter what they look like, but I'm looking for a painter.
Some people do. Some people are like that.
I like a woman that breathes.
Breathes. She's got to breathe there.
We all get desperate.
They got to breathe.
Okay, let's finish this out.
All right, we're going to go to number 5. This is the final one for the night.
Yeah.
The grand finale, the big one.
Grand finale. Another one of this week's partners is BetterHelp. Life has been moving so fast recently, and there's just something about this year and stress that I am dealing with the worst burnout I've probably ever had. And that is where therapy comes in. When life is moving fast and you don't know how to deal with the stress or make adjustments, therapy can help. It can provide you all those tools and positive coping strategies to make life feel easier, lighter, happier, less stressful. And if you're thinking about starting therapy, why not BetterHelp? BetterHelp is entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can even switch therapists at any time for no charge. Therapy has been incredible for me in the past. I've especially loved online therapy and how convenient it is. I can take it from my car, my home, in my pajamas. I don't have to drive. It's just been super helpful. So if you're ready to try it for yourself, take a moment. Visit betterhelp.com/FKS today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/FKS.
Hello, Dad, Morgan, Justin,
Hello.
and everyone.
Hi.
Well, there's no one else because Holly never shows up.
Well,
everyone might be the audience, actually.
Yeah,
That's
everyone.
what I actually thought that you were saying with everyone.
I've been having issues with my feelings for an ex recently and would like some advice from people who are more experienced. I'm 19 now, yes, I know, still young, and recently got broken up with by my high school sweetheart a year ago. We were together for 4 years, and I thought we were going to be the end game. I never really cared about dating other people or missing out on experiences for never being single. Our relationship was always very healthy and looked up to by many. We rarely fought and had very good communication. He was always kind of religious, but never really put it into practice or ever talked about it. I grew up in a Methodist church and chose to leave the religion after being confirmed into the church and studying the Bible relentlessly. I just noticed inconsistencies and didn't like the way the church controlled my life. He brought up in one conversation that my not being religious was a deal breaker, but quickly backtracked and said he would rather choose me, even if it meant I didn't go to church with him. In the next couple of months, he really dove into his religion and began to follow it more closely. During this time, I was going through a hard time with religious trauma, being brought back up by an essay I had to write for school, and would make little comments about it. Yes, I know I shouldn't have taken it out on him. After the school year had ended, he broke up with me, stating religion as the main cause, and after a long conversation, I was shattered. Throughout the summer, we remained in contact and even had a bit of lingering relationship. Communication stopped after we both moved to different colleges, but we always kept little things in touch and remained friendly. In the past year, I have had 2 other relationships that didn't work out for varying reasons and just made me realize even more that he is still the one I want. We are both attending the same college again, and he has made various efforts to reach back out, talk, and hang out, even admitting he still has strong feelings for me when I told him I was seeing someone else, but reiterated we couldn't be together because of religion. I'm once again single, and we have talked/hung out multiple times, and I can't help but feel there is still something there. Do you have any advice on how I go about my feelings or our relationship going forward? I know he is the future that I want, but he can't let go of his feelings about my religion. Any advice helps, even if it isn't what I want to hear.
Some people, their politics are different than their spouse. Sometimes they have hobbies that are different than their spouse. I understand that you don't want to go to church every day and profess the religion as it is. But the basics of certain things you may feel or may not feel. But what I'm really trying to say as I'm yakking on here is that you guys have the individuality to believe in the core things of being good people. And what you may believe in as your spiritual guide or your God or his God, I sometimes wish that people can leave that and to say, I respect that they have a different vibe or feeling that I have. And I can let them, be their own person. And they'll let me be my own person. I won't try to bring it on to them, and they won't try to bring it on to me. But Morgan's shaking her head. That ain't reality.
Well, the problem is that's an amazing thing in an ideal world, but he didn't respect her beliefs. He broke up with her because of the fact she's not religious and has all of this religious trauma. And I think there are some people that can make differences in religion, politics, whatever, work. I personally would not be able to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you need to ask yourself, like, big questions. Do you want kids? If you do want kids and you have kids with this person, how are those kids going to be raised?
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to force that religion upon them? And then you're roped in again. And, there's certain things, like for me, that core value, if I didn't align with Justin on that, we wouldn't be together. We wouldn't be getting married. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I do think life is short,
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot imagine going through life arguing with a partner over stupid shit like politics, religion,
Mm-hmm.
and differences in morals. Like, it's not worth it.
But is her morals different than? I mean, she says, "Look, he's my person. I just don't want to be trapped in this religious trap where it's forced on me." Now, if he can say, "I respect that," and he can get to that part where, look, she's morally she's a great person. Religiously wise, if she's not to the level of orthodox that I am, can I respect her for what she does believe in, leave her alone, and she'll leave me alone? If I want to go to church, 5 times a day, can I go to church? The one thing that you did bring up, which is most importantly, is kids. Can he let the kids find themselves in their own religion? Now, I never pushed religion that you would believe one thing or the other thing. I just said, sometimes I want to go to temple. Do you want to go with me?
Yeah.
I mean, or if we have Hanukkah, do you want to light candles with me? And I know that you've taken religious classes. You did that in college.
Took a lot. Took Judaism, took a lot of different classes.
And I've never asked, really what you are, what your belief is, because I believe that's all within you. It's not my business, whatever you choose.
Yeah. I don't know. I really think you're still stuck on him because he's the best you have. I think you have 2 options in my head, and maybe you'll piggyback off this. I think option 1, you continue dating other people until you find someone who aligns with you on all areas.
How old is she?
19 right now.
Oh my God, she's young.
So young.
Yeah.
So young. Like, this is so hard. And then option 2, I had a high school boyfriend. We dated all of my freshman year, and then it was like this cat and mouse game sophomore year, and then we talked after we graduated. It was a bit of a mess. We talked like on and off up until I graduated high school, and the reality is, like, once I could have him again and test drove the car again, I realized I don't really want this car anymore. Like, this car and me, I thought it was really good. But no. Like, sometimes you just rose-colored glasses yourself so hard, and you can convince yourself that the wrong person is still right, even when they're not.
I think here's where the tough love part comes in.
Oh, okay.
What I'm seeing here is I've been through the first relationship and, oh my God, we got it right the first time. I just got super lucky and found my person the first try.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people go through that, and you hang on to that thinking, oh, it's my first everything. When I got my license, he was there. When we graduated high school, like, they've been through so many stages of my life, and I can't imagine ever having someone new and like trying to tell them all that. And there's so many thoughts that go on. I feel like I believe you broke up. I feel like you've been stringing yourself along. You've kind of been stringing each other along, but really I feel that you've been stringing yourself along. Obviously I don't know, but I feel like these two other relationships weren't truly like separate relationships. I think you've still been clinging on to these feelings, and you've never really been separated. It says you keep hanging out, you keep doing whatever, even to the point where you're starting to reconsider a potential relationship again, though he blatantly reiterates you can't be together because of religion.
This isn't your person.
If you actually want to give this a shot to maybe work one day, I think we need to completely cut ties. There's no communication. There's no hanging out. There's nothing of this, because it's not going to work now. It's not going to work however many time from now, unless you can actually both separate and see what life is like without each other. Because then you'll actually, if you break up and have no ties whatsoever, no feelings, oh, he can be out sleeping with someone right now, it doesn't affect me at all. Get to that point where you're unaffected by whatever they're doing in their life, and you can go forward and actually find yourself, have some real relationships that don't have this distraction, and then have actually something to compare it to. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like we're stuck on that. And I feel like until we actually find life as an individual, because it's been so long, then, that will really help.
Yeah.
You find that, not that purpose, but find the ability to really look at this objectively. Is this my person or not? Because I feel like if you get some fresh perspective, things will become very clear.
I think if you keep dating, you're going to move past this pretty quickly, honestly. I mean, if you think about the time they dated, 14 to 18 years old, those are such big, key, formative years where everything feels so important. And this was, your boyfriend, your best friend for that amount of time. So yeah, it's sad losing that person, sucks moving on, but there's no compromise here. You're not going to get back into the religion the way he would want. He's not going to give it up or not, practice as much.
Well, if he's so religious, I have a question.
How they fucking? Who knows?
Some
people believe soaking is okay.
Okay.
Who knows? Not any of my business.
Okay.
But I just think there is more out there for you and someone who aligns more closely. But I agree. You got to give it a fair shot. You got to stop talking. You got to truly try dating other people and give it a wholehearted attempt.
And if it's going to be there after years, it will still be there if they're really the ones.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people, especially a couple couples that were together in high school, broke up, dated a bunch of other people, and came back together. And
because they were truly separated, it was a actual breakup.
Yeah.
And I know I'm putting a lot of this story together from just a little bit of context, and I could be wrong, but just my gut feeling from going through similar things at that age, I kind of feel like I know where you're at. And when you can separate as if, we may be friends one day, but I may never have a relationship, or we may never be friends. We may lose touch. They may move across the world. I may never see them again. We need to be willing. We need to get to that point where we're not clinging. It's if it comes back around naturally, then that's different.
Yeah. And he's, maybe he's got some growing to do. Maybe he comes from a very sheltered family and, to each their own in terms of religion and politics. But I do think personally, it's something that's important to align on.
100%.
Oh, absolutely. It would be nothing but...
You're just going to be battling.
With stress and bitterness later on.
I mean, my aunt is married to someone who does not believe at all, very much so an atheist, and she is extremely religious, goes to church every Sunday, goes to Bible study on Wednesdays, and she is in constant peril about him going to hell and saving him. And it has been a big point of contention in their entire marriage, how they raised their kids. It's never been easy.
You never get away from it.
It's just, when it's a part of your core value and it's not your partner's, I think it's just a point of contention. And there's some people that can ignore it, but
Oh, I'm sure.
can you, writer? Like, are you okay ignoring it? And again,
Or can he?
if you want kids, he can't. He dumped you because of the
Right.
religious differences. Someone who is your person is not going to dump you because you disagree on something. So
All true.
move along. Be done.
Yep.
Get on that horsey.
Get on a different horse.
Go
Go
right.
test drive a new car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go check out the dealers.
There's a lot of nice cars out there.
Check out the pasture. See what else is out there.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for our show tonight. Thanks for joining us. And we will see you. Are we going to have Patreon? Are they going to come to the backyard for a barbecue?
We got some real good Patreon this month. And we have group therapy coming up this Sunday.
Good to know. Good that she told me that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the other side.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.